Hi theater addicts, my name is Mattias, and I just saw Shy Therapy at a nude beach at the Brian Scott Gallery. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record it before because we were running a little late, but here I am to give you my impressions now. Beforehand, I didn't really know what to expect. I don't have a lot of experience with nudism. It's interesting to me. I see folks going in the buff at Wreck Beach, and I think that's just peachy. I have my reservations about it, but I respect the courage of people who do that. So if you are interested in checking out this show, there's something that you are definitely going to want to know. There's been some tumult between the people putting on the show and the Fringe Festival. So the show is not currently actually listed as a Fringe show, but it is still running. But what that means is the ticketing system goes through them. It doesn't go through the Fringe, which means that you do need to bring cash to the door. So that's quite important. Beforehand, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew from the descriptions and the advertising that there was going to be some interactive live therapy, and and also that it was a play. So I wasn't sure how they were going to meld those two elements together. So having seen it now, I have to say it was a pretty uncomfortable experience, in part because they didn't really meld those two elements together of performance and live therapy. So what we got was one part town hall and one part performance, if you can call it that. So there was a character who was playing an RCMP officer, while everybody else was more or less playing themselves and acting out, having fun at the beach. So it was very chaotic for that reason. So there was a Q&A component, there was some monologuing, and at the same time folks were throwing beach balls back and forth, and one time one of the beach balls hit one of the I guess you'd say the main performer in the head. So that was just sort of the atmosphere that was going on. So my feeling is that I'm hard-pressed to really describe this as theater, because the way I see it, when you're doing theater, you open the world of the play to the audience, and the audience knows that this is a state of exception. It's a different kind of world. It's a what-if kind of world. So part of the role of the performers is to guide you out of the world that you're used to and your preconceived notions to whatever it is that they're trying to introduce to you. So for me, if I was to stage a performance where I was trying to raise awareness about nudism, I would want to do it in stages and slowly peel away people's expectations of normalcy around clothing. These folks did not do that. So, you go in and the performers are already naked, and they're telling you why you shouldn't find it weird that they're naked, and they're telling you that you should probably get naked too. So that certainly didn't work for me from a theatrical perspective. It's not that I have any objections to them. It's not that I have any objections to them doing that, even like as a theatrical piece. But I think a better way of branding it probably would be to say, this is a town hall. This is an open discussion where you can meet some nudists in the flesh and in the buff, and learn about their way of life and their philosophy and why they not only take pleasure in running around naked, but also why they think it's philosophically and socially important. And I think that would have been a much better way of presenting this sort of performance, because as it was, the trappings of theater around the show itself were really just distracting. They got in the way, in my mind, of what the performers were attempting to accomplish. To be clear, you don't have to get naked. So, as the as the show description says, and as they make clear, they do follow through with their promise that there's no undue pressure to take off your clothes. However, I don't know if I would say that the discomfort level in the room is higher or lower if you do take off your clothes. It's very uncomfortable to be naked in a room full of strangers who don't do their utmost to make you feel safe and welcomed. But it seems just as uncomfortable to be in this situation with your clothes on, because these folks have very strong opinions, and for a theater show, I was disappointed by the lack of willingness to meet the audience wherever they are. You definitely got the sense that they came here, like, they invite the audience in, but they are raring for a fight. You know, they want to have a battle of ideals with you. And I personally don't feel like that's my bag, my cup of tea. Something I would have liked to have seen more of was the historical aspect too, because we learned a little bit about the history of nudism, but not as much as I would have liked to, because that's definitely an area where my personal education fails me, because it's easy enough to see what nudism is, or at least appears to be now, but it's much harder to look at and see what it was. So having seen people who've been with the movement for many decades, that feels quite valuable, to be able to see them and see, you know, the context and what the nudist movement is really striving for in terms of ideals. There was a very cute dog at the show, and I was very grateful for the dog, because I was feeling really uncomfortable, and the dog went and sat in front of me for quite a lot of the runtime of the play and let me stroke its back. So there was a therapy dog, which is probably the best therapist on stage, I'm afraid to say. To sum up, I thought the interactive and the theatrical or performative elements of the play were really starkly in tension with one another, which definitely contributed to the sense of discomfort. It is definitely kind of a discombobulating, somewhat angry space to spend 70 minutes, and I can't say I would recommend it to anyone. I suppose if you like being uncomfortable, which is fair, sometimes that's what you want out of a Fringe performance. Shy Therapy at a Nude Beach certainly has discomfort in spades, and it is most assuredly different. I've been Mattias Martins, reviewing Shy Therapy at a Nude Beach at Brian Scott Gallery. I'd love to know what you think about nudism. If you've seen this show or know someone who has, I'd be curious to hear your opinions about what they got right and what they got wrong. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for new interviews and reviews as they come in.